Hello out there, my name is Milesy and welcome to my channel. Recently, last week, I did a video on MadXStitch Markup, which is an iOS app by Ursa Software. Now, after I got that, I decided I wanted to actually try out WinStitch, which admittedly was a really difficult install. I had to try about 3 or 4 times because my computer kept thinking it was a virus, which is a known issue, apparently, which might be why I don't see it used as often as I do PCStitch. But I want to take a look and side by side compare PCStitch and WinStitch, not necessarily in the software, because I'm going to just say right now, from the little bit of fiddling I have been doing with this, it has a learning curve. So we're just going to take a look at the differences in image imports and how those images stitch. So first we're going to go into PCStitch. I'm going to import 2 different files. First I'm going to import one with a lot of blended color and big solid patches all at the same time. It's one you've probably seen in my workbook videos, but we are going to go ahead and import Greg. So we're going and we're back, I think. So we're going to go ahead and just import Greg. Now with PCStitch, we have to come in here and remind it that it's not actually 100 pixels wide, it's 210. And we'll go ahead and import that. Now I'm importing this without making any adjustments. This is an undithered version. This is just straight up the artwork that I drew. And PCStitch is struggling again. Oh boy. There it goes. And right off the bat, we can see that PCStitch, the people behind it, still don't think that there's any reason why you might want to stitch with white. And we'll zoom out a couple steps so that we can see the color here. And this is the version, or very close to the version. I don't think this is the exact one that I am stitching, but this is what PCStitch has done with this file. You can see down here, the symbols are in no order at all. And I bet if we check over here, we will see there's one. Yep, it's duplicated that symbol. It has duplicated that symbol, and has it duplicated this symbol? Yes, it has. So it's duplicated 3 symbols, which is super unhelpful when you're trying to stitch something. This is also a feature of PCStitch, because they think that the only valid way to arrange your symbols is to have it to where you can see the design in the symbols themselves. And you'll notice that my background is bright green. That's because PCStitch erases white stitches, and that's the only way I can see that it's where it's done that. So this is cool. I like this as a feature, but this should 100% be optional. Because when I've got hello? There we go. When I've got 189 colors, and this is the only way to see, for the record, how many colors you're using in PCStitch, is to go into the dialog to reduce the amount of colors. So this has given me 189 colors. So this is 189 times I have to go through here and put my symbols back into the order that my brain knows that they're in. So This is what PCStitch has given us to work with. Not the best. Could be worse, but it's not the best. So let's pop over here and convert it with WinStitch. Okay. And we'll come down here, we'll get the exact same image. And WinStitch automatically knows that it's 210 by 350. One thing that I can't do, because I am using the demo right now, one thing I cannot do is tell it that I want to use all of DMC's thread. So the most I can tell it to do is use the most recent batch through 3866. I can't get up to 3895 and have the new 35, because if I just go to DMC threads, it starts at 150 and still goes to 3866. However, I do believe you can change that when you buy the license for it. So we're not going to do any fiddling other than telling it what colors to use. We're not going to add masks or edit anything. Just import it at its base size. Click OK. Oh. Well, that's new. Okay, we're back. So apparently you can't leave the demo open for very long, which I didn't realize that's all that was. So we're gonna take off the grid, and already I think we can see a very big difference over here. We have this really nice dither in the sky. Do we even have white stitches? I can't tell because, yep, there we go. So it did chart white stitches. Now we can go over here and tell it to reorder the palette to be in numerical order, because I don't like this going everywhere. So I'm just gonna do that. And one thing I'm not quite sure about, the symbols here, I'm not sure if they change around, because in XStitch markup, they're always the same when I import them from my PCStitch files, so I'm not sure if these symbols will do the same thing and jitter around, but I haven't had the chance to fiddle around with it too much. That said, we can see here a huge difference in the designs. There we go. So we're at 50 here, and this is 15. Okay, interesting how much that doesn't really seem to mean the same thing, but these are basically the same size now. Just ignore the demo version. And we can see that where the light is coming through on his shoe and on his pants especially, we don't get these really funky blocks. The sky, it just automatically dithers everything. Let's go look at the trees. And we've got this big murky thing of black and some blue and just huge chunks of single color. If we scroll down here, we get all of that detail that was lost. It looks like it is kind of dithering with black, but that's fine because that is a dark area. But it's not so dark that we are completely losing all of the detail, which is really nice. Very sexy. It looks like the colors are also definitely different. So let me see if I can find... So that's 3760. I'm not sure how to tell. Oops, nope, that's definitely not what I wanted to do. So let's see if I come down here and find 3760 isn't even charted. So I'm not really sure how to tell what these colors are. I'm brand new to this software, so I'm not sure how to tell what color I'm mousing over, which is a little unfortunate. But just right there, that is super sexy. And I will bring over the actual image and show you guys what that looks like, and just kind of do a bit of a compare. This takes a minute to load for some reason. Every time I need to use it, I need to uninstall it, because for some reason Windows Photo Viewer just takes forever. So when we zoom in, we can see that it is kind of dark down here, but we've got these rays of light, and that definitely all seems to come across so much better over here in WinStitch. I love it. It's sexy. It's also 50 bucks and I can't afford that right now, but what I want to do, I'm not sure if I can though with the demo, because it looks really nice on screen, but how would it look stitched? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is find a small design that I can quickly stitch from the screen, hopefully without WinStitch self-imploding on me like it did earlier. And I will come back and I will chart it both in PCStitch and WinStitch and show you guys the differences there. And I will do that off camera. But so far, I'm really thinking it might be worth getting a WinStitch license, because man, is this all pretty. Look at that. That is so much nicer. And these like really harsh lines you get over here, it did lose some detail in the palm trees. Instead of being, let me zoom in on the palm trees a bit. So my palm trees over here, if I zoom in a little bit more, oops, too much, okay. So my palm trees over here, you can see that there was a very deliberate pattern in the lines there. You can kind of see that pattern over here and in some places over here, but a lot of that did kind of get lost, whereas the light coming through the palm trees over here looks really good, but then once we get down to his shoe, if that wants to scroll, there's definitely a big difference in his shoe. There's definitely a big difference in his pants. And there's a world of difference in the background. Just look at that. That is so much nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and find something very small that I can stitch off the screen and come back and show you guys that when I am done. Alright, so here are the finished patches I've done. I did 3. I was going to do a 4th one, but kind of decided that it wasn't really necessary. So I did the first one with PCStitch. This was with my index. I was going to do a 4th one with the default index, but it didn't really seem entirely necessary just because of the amount of time I was putting into this, honestly. And I did 2 with WinStitch because apparently there are 2 different ways you can import an image. One is to let WinStitch dither your image, and the other is to just import it exactly as it is. So these were all the exact same images imported into PCStitch and WinStitch. And I just want to take a look at the differences here. Now, I do notice, again, this was with my index where I had changed the colors, but these are a little bit brighter. However, there's also some very significant banding. There's no gradient at all in the blue. There's just a very stark line between the 2 colors. And there's no pink. It's entirely red. There's like a little smidgen of pink over here. With the WinStitch one, where I let it dither, it is a little bit more dull, but you can see a lot more of the orange and the pink. It's not all completely taken over with red. There's definitely more yellow The green isn't as bright, the blue isn't as bright, but I think that's fine, especially since WinStitch does have an option to boost the color saturation, so you can tell it that you want it to be brighter. With the one where it was undithered, it has some of the same color banding that PCStitch did, but it still blends a little bit better. But I love the blending on this one, just how it is very smooth transitions between the green to the yellow to the orange to the red to the pink. It's all very smooth. Where you look at the one with PCStitch, you have this itty bitty little line of yellow that goes almost straight to a red. And there is more yellow in the undithered WinStitch one as well. But I didn't outline it yet, I just haven't had the opportunity. That's all that's going on there. But even undithered, there's a little bit of banding, but it's still not as bad as the PCStitch one. There's still some nice blends. You still have more outright yellow rather than just kind of getting that all eaten up. PCStitch did handle the greens better, but again, this was my index on PCStitch. I kind of feel like maybe I should have done the fourth one, but I was just getting so sick of stitching butterflies at this point. But by the time I got about halfway done with this one, I decided that I am going to switch, and I have been able to do that thanks to Quinn in the Discord. So thank you, Quinn, very much for allowing me to switch over to WinStitch. Here's the back. I don't think that's anything too special, just a big mess of color back there. But yeah, I'm so pleased with WinStitch. I have been using it pretty much exclusively. There's a video coming out hopefully next week. I'm watching it try to copy off of my phone right now as I speak, and it's failed so many times because it's 30 gigabytes and 4 hours long, and that's the last time I'm ever filming something like that on my phone. But we'll be using WinStitch in that video, and pretty much with the exception of anything that I've already had going, pretty much anything I start going forward, I think will be charted with WinStitch. I just really like it so much better. Apart from that weird thing where the demo decided to quit as I was filming, that was awkward. I haven't had any problems with WinStitch breaking down on me as I was filming or as I was live streaming, because I think at this point most of you have seen a video or a live stream where I was trying to demo something in PCStitch and the software just decided to crash my entire video card. I don't know why PCStitch crashes my video card like that. It's a thing that it does, and it's super annoying. But yeah, I'm in love with WinStitch. Absolutely in love with it. I can't really see any reason to stay with PCStitch at this point. It just doesn't bring anything to the table. I think I like the way PCStitch highlights better, but that's about it, especially since you can't mark things off in PCStitch, whereas with WinStitch you can. I'm actually about to start filming a speed paint using WinStitch, so that's something that will be kind of another test, but at this point I've already pretty much decided I'm switching full-time because it's so much nicer. And if you use it, you do also have that iPad app that I talked about on Thursday, which I neglected to mention in that video. That app is free. You don't have to pay anything to use that app. It will work alongside PCStitch or WinStitch, although at this point I definitely prefer WinStitch. It is a little fiddly to install it. The first few times I tried, my computer thought it was a virus, and this is apparently a known issue, and they do have workarounds for it. So I was finally able to get that to install, and it was definitely worth the hassle, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead. You'll be seeing these butterflies come up in another video in the future as well, because I'm going to be revisiting my patch video, and I think these will be a perfect example for those because of their irregular shape. So look out for that. Probably going to be in November though, because my Tuesdays are full of stitch along right now through October. So look forward to that. Probably in November. I'm hoping to get a bunch of tutorials filmed between now and then so that we have plenty to look forward to. But I'm definitely switching to WinStitch. Absolutely, no question about it. And if you're on the fence about what software to get, if you haven't bought anything, they are about PCStitch and WinStitch are about the same price. WinStitch might actually be a little cheaper. I'm not entirely sure, but WinStitch was about 50 plus tax, and I don't know what PCStitch is. I want to say PCStitch is closer to 70, so WinStitch might actually be cheaper. It's not as pretty. The UI isn't as nice. It's not as, it doesn't feel as refined. It definitely has a learning curve, but I preferred it so much more already to PCStitch. So there we go. In the future, if you ever download a pattern from me, you will probably notice a change. I don't like the way WinStitch does the color key. I wish I could find a way to change that. I don't like their color key page at all, but hopefully I can either find a way to change that, or I don't know, we'll figure something out, but that's definitely what you'll be seeing from me in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that fun stuff, and do be sure to like the video because that does really help me out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!